Me today. This is super exciting. If you are looking at this is the first time I'm doing it on YouTube. Usually I'm on Facebook, but I think it's gonna be better on YouTube. I think it's easier to actually access the video. So yeah, I'm super excited to do this. So yeah, thank you for joining in. If you are in the chat already, please let me know where are you in the world. This is always super interesting. For myself, right now I am in Thailand. It is 7 in the morning. That's dedication for you guys. Because I'm in Thailand, I want to make sure that I can, have the widest range of hours that I can connect with you. And I know it's not always easy. So I'll read a few people in the chat. I want to say hi to everybody, guys. I see Rogers, Stevie, Laurie, Image Art, Al, and Matthew, and Pedro, Laura, Angela, Stuart. Thank you so much, guys. Lucas, this is awesome. I see people from the academy, from the community as well, and some new faces. This is awesome. And for the places, I see Brazil, Evie is in Brazil, Anthony is in St. Lucia, Lucas is in Poland, Keno is in Toronto, Canada, Virginia, Colombia. Oh, this is awesome. We're touching a lot of continent. This is always super cool. All right, well, thank you all. Thank you so much. I see so much more coming in. USA, Pennsylvania, New York. Awesome. Why? That's a good place to be. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining in. So today is going to be it's going to be great. I prepared a few tips for you guys that I want to teach you. I worked them on last night, and I can see still the chat going on. This is awesome. So yeah, I prepared a few tips for you. I want to talk also briefly about the workshop I did last week. I see you where I am with it. I couldn't finish it. I really wanted to, so I can show you like the final product, but I'm still going to show you the progress. Also, if you are in the chat, let me know, are you part of the 30 days art habit challenge? If you are, just put a big yes in all cap so I can see this. I've been drawing every day. I couldn't finish the illustration, but I've been drawing every day, so I'm still very happy. I'm on my 20th day yesterday, so today will be the 21st day. So this is awesome. I just have a few more days for my 30 days. Very exciting. So yeah, let me know if you're participating. I'm curious as well. And to remind everybody, if you want to participate, it is not too late. This is the challenge that we're doing in our community, the Paintable community. What you have to do is simply put hashtag 30 days art habit and simply put a sketch or a little bit of progress, and that's really all it is. And I see a few yes already. So I see Super Waffle that says yes, Pedro that says yes, Sitara that says yes, Ini, Laura, awesome. So yeah, awesome. I see there's a few people following. That's great. So yeah, so with all that being said, I'm going to jump into the subject of today. I'm going to start by showing you my progress from last week. Like I said, I didn't finish it, but I wanted to show you a little bit what I have here. So let me just move everything. I got everything on my window here. So what I have here is basically just I've been going back and forth with the snake, and that's what has been the loss of time. But we started here, and what I teach last week was how to start from a picture and basically transform it, paint on top of it, and create something completely new. So we did around about this, I think, within the live. And then during this week, I've been pushing a little bit more the details. Here, I'll put like a little bit more close up, a little bit more the details, and then I push a lot more the details to something completely different. I placed with the snake. I think the snake could have been like a great thing to add. And then I've been playing on like, if I wanted to snake a little bit more cutesy, realistic kind of thing. So I'm still like in the middle of it, and I'll show you more progress this week. I just wanted to show you where I am with it. It's not done yet. So yeah, so that's for last week. So I'm going to put that aside. So I have new stuff for you this week. We're still going to work on that concept of using photos and this time it's not going to be photo bashing. It was photo bashing last week. This week is going to be photo collages, photo montage. So basically that's the art of taking a bunch of photos together and create a new composition that is interesting. So first of all, did anybody in the chat ever did some photo montage or some photography. Let me know in the chat. I'm curious. It's something that I think a lot of photographers would have no problem to say that they did. But when it comes to art and drawing, I feel like artists usually are a little bit scared to try that technique. So let me know if you tried it before. It's basically to take a few pictures and put them together to create a composition, and then use that to create an original piece of work. So let me know in the chat if you already did that before. And while you do that, I want to show you here. I placed a few images. So I see Lucas says that he did. Yes. GOQ says that he did. I don't know if it's called Jock or GOQ. But yeah, okay, so I see a few people tried it. It's an amazing technique, and so today I want to show you how to do this. First of all, I want to say, if you want the same picture that I've been using for today, and even for last week, you can follow me on Unsplash. If you go to unsplash.com, and if you look for David Béliveau, my name basically, you'll find it. So I have Lucas says, you said I did it, but only photography, not illustration. Well, today I'm going to show you guys how to do this. So, like I was saying, if you want the same picture that I'm going to use today, you can go to my Unsplash, and I wanted to talk about how to take your picture. So if you want the same picture, you can go on Splash. Because I'm using Unsplash because I want to be able to have to own the rights of that image, and Unsplash gives you the rights, so you can use that image and do whatever you want with it, and basically you own the rights. So this is a great way to do it. If you don't find something, because Unsplash doesn't have necessarily the best portrait all the time, you can go to Pinterest. I think it's fine with Pinterest, as long as it's not professional, as long as it's not client work. If you're doing client work, don't go to Pinterest. If you're doing client work, you could use Unsplash, because Unsplash you have the right. Pinterest, you don't own the rights, but you can still use it and put it on your portfolio, on your Instagram. That's no problem. And what I like about Pinterest is when you click on a picture, let's say this one that I find interesting, then you can scroll down and you have like all sorts of like the almost same model. So this is great. If you're using Pinterest, by the way, let me know by putting a thumbs up on this video. I'll be able to see the count of people. I think Pinterest is an amazing platform. I'm so inspired each time that I go on it. And so just for that feature of being able to click on one picture and then having a bunch of them appear, I think is just absolutely marvelous. If I go to like a crown, for example, and then you click on that crown, and then boom, you have like a bunch of crowns that's gonna appear. It's amazing. It's doing like the research time 100 for you. So if you want to follow along, you can either choose my image, like I was saying, or you can go on Pinterest. And I see a few thumbs up, meaning that lots of people are using it, I guess. And so yeah. So today I want to talk about that photo montage collages kind of way to create art. And I want to start by showing you a few artists I think doing this that are doing an amazing job. One of them is, and it's not illustration in this case, it's actually pure photo montage, but I wanted to show it to you guys because I think he's doing an amazing job. It's almost looking at illustration. And so Moon Patrol, it's called, if you want to follow him on Instagram. I don't know him personally, I'm just a fan. I've been following him. His name is Matt Cunningham. And I love what he says. He says, "I'm not from the moon, I just patrol it." This is awesome. So what he does is basically that. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even own the rights of the images he's using, but he's using them in a way that's so creative and so different that it creates a total new image. And in this case, I think it's always okay. So he has lots of great images. Let me just click on a few, like this one, for example, where he takes like the image of a rabbit, the image of like a skull of a rabbit, and a few things, and he basically put them together to create one new image. Could go for another one. This one, a bit simple, but very great as well, where he took the portrait of a woman and then put a painter, like if it was open, things like that. Super amazing, where you open like the face of someone basically, and you put something in it. You can see that sometimes a few times, and I'll show you more example where it's like you chop the head and it's like a steak in the middle, or it's a fruit or something like that. And so beautiful imagery here to just give you inspired. So if you want to have more ideas on this technique, I would suggest following Moon Patrol. It's really good. Another one I want to show, let me know if you know that artist, because I'm having difficulties pronouncing his name, so it's going to be hard for me to say, but it's Adogu, I think. That's the best I can say. He's an amazing artist, very popular, as you can see, has over 500,000 followers, and there's a reason for it. He's doing exactly what we're going to try to do today, but he's doing it to like, he mastered the technique like nobody else, basically. And what he does is basically the same thing that Moon Patrol here was doing, but he's doing it in an illustration style and a very realistic style as well. So yeah, let me know if you know this guy. If you're not following him already, say yes if you're following him. Basically, I think he is an amazing resources of inspiration, especially if you want to build in Society 6 a shop online and basically try to create some imagery from photo montages. Like as you can see, he would take like a picture of two people kissing and then adding some planets, and I'll show you why does it look super good, because there's a technique in there that is very easy to understand, and it's going to be all about today. That's going to be the trick I'm going to give you today, that once you understand it, you can create those beautiful pieces. It's not super complicated. You might not be as realistic as he is, because he's very, very realistic in his style, but you'll have definitely the trick to make them happen. I can maybe show you a few more that I really like. I really like this one for some reason. I think it's beautiful. Sometimes just very simple things like putting a cloud. And I think if you saw my Instagram, you saw that I'm very interested in like putting clouds in portrait. I think it's beautiful. There's another example here. So anyway, so that guy does a great job at it. And I want to show you just two more before we move on. The other one that I really like is, another name I'm going to butcher it, I'm sorry, a Sajin or Sachin Tang. Amazing as well. Does that kind of photo montages, collages, basically, where you take a picture and then you add like a pattern in it. Or, let me go back to something that's a little bit more, I think there's one of them that is showing a little bit more. Let me just... bear with me a second. Like this one, for example, where you open stuff and then you insert stuff in it. Seems to have a little lag here. That's a shame. Let me go back to the illustration then. Or this one here should be good. There you go. So something like this, where you've broken down some stuff, just very, very interesting, adding stuff into the illustration. And the last one I wanted to show you is a little bit more graphical. This one is all in black and white, and it's always a great way to start, I think, to have something very simple. That's Ruben Ireland. He does great, great stuff as well, adding just the same kind of elements. I'm just going to put that down for now so we don't hear it. The same kind of elements that are amazing here. So yeah, those are the examples. So with all those examples, now what I would like to show you is how do you start that, basically. So let me jump to Photoshop, and what I'll do is I'll try to just share the Photoshop so you have like a better view of all of this. And so let me know if you knew these artists as well, if you're following them as well. I think they're amazing. So I think they're great to follow. And I'll make sure to take out this picture. I'll show you later, guys, my face. I'll show you the screen for now so you can see better. So what I want to show you here is basically a technique. And I'll try to take out the chat for now. I'll see the chat afterwards. It's a technique to basically try to add stuff to this portrait here. This is going to be the base of my illustration, and I'm going to use that not as the same that I did last week, so I'm not going to paint directly on it. What I'll do is I'm going to use that after that as my reference picture so I can create something from scratch. So what I did is I had like a small research of like different like pictures that I like that I think could be cool to implement to this. And I have one rule to follow when you kind of do this. There's two ways to create successful photo montage in my experience. You either integrate in the flow of the picture, meaning the flow of this picture here. So for imagine like the flow that I see here is probably the hair. The hair would be like following down like this. So we could integrate stuff to the hair, for example, or adding contrasting element to the composition. So if you do adding constructing element to the composition, it's going to be important to know about the rule of thirds to be able to place them at the right place. I'm not going to go into too much detail into that, but those are the two ways to actually do it. So what you can do is simple. You just want to have your picture, and I'm just going to take whatever is there here. I don't think I'll need probably that though. I'll take this one. That can go, I guess. I don't know why that keeps on showing. And put them together. And take that off. Oops, no, I want to keep that, or maybe I'll put it just a little bit less. And put them together. All right, so what you want to do is simple. You want to try to do something. So like I was saying, like the flow. I'm going to try with the flow. I got like a boat, for example. You could take the boat, do a quick, either a quick cutoff that you can just simply like take a marquee tool. What you want to do at this point is really not, you want to go too much detail. You kind of do like your research, right? You just like, all right, I'm going to cut that off, make a mask, and then see if I can integrate that to the composition to see like, all right, so maybe like the boat is like floating in the hair, like it would be like a sea, for example. That could be one thing. The other thing I could see that could be interesting, I have like another boat here. I think my ideas was to probably go with a boat or something. So I could just go with a boat and just try to place it at a place that would work. What I like about this boat in particular, there's like the color repetition of the lips. This is always interesting. So you want to try a few things like that. And it's really important to just look at the picture and see the different things that you can add. If you look at the work that I showed you earlier, he was basically doing this, but sometimes he was doing contrasting. And I think in this case, my idea is already set. I want to go with something a little bit more contrasting. And I saw those white birds. I'm not sure if they're like column or literally like pigeons. But yeah, I'm just gonna take out the clipping mask that I have here because I already prepared it cut for you guys. So I got myself prepared, making sure I would not have to do this here. I'm gonna close that. I'm just not gonna save it. And I'm gonna place it to a contrasting place. In this case, I think I wanna cover the eye. I think it's gonna be nice like this. So having just about that place here. Now, if you do this like this, it doesn't look like much, and that's where I want to teach you like the trick that's going to make the huge difference into like this technique. If you do that single one thing, then you'll have better results. And that is to put a cast shadow. So for that, what you need to do first is to understand the lighting of your reference image. There's always a great trick for that. You can make just a sphere, and I'm going to put that sphere to like a dark gray, and you don't have to go in details with that. I'm just going to take a soft round brush and basically take some white, and then you want to just establish. So what I see, you know what, let me just show you what I see first so you understand. So when I look at the portrait that I have, and every picture is going to be different, so it's important to really take the time to just observe. I see a highlight on the nose right here. Let me take a different color, maybe a different brush as well, so you can see it better. So I see a highlight here, and I see a form shadow slash almost cast shadow like around here. And that gives me the direction of the light. So I know that it's a light that's going to be a little bit front, so almost directly front to the portrait, to her basically. And then there's like a little bit of a cast shadow kind of here from the nose. So it's like a little bit more like in an angle like that. Knowing that, I can go back to my sphere here and being like, all right, so it's probably because the light goes like this, and then I could just darken maybe some of that. And then you can even add some bounce light to help you just with your composition. And that's, in a nutshell, that's about the lighting. So once you understand, because this is really just for your understanding, it doesn't have to be there, then you'll be able to just basically create a cast shadow. In this case, I'm just going to use the cutout of the bird, put some black, and then I have my black on another shape right here, and I'll be able to just put it on the side here, and then I'm going to use the transform tool and use the warp tool right here at the top. and just try to kind of place it. Now, right now, it's important to think about the roundness of the face. That's what's going to give like the realism of it. So I'm trying to curve both ends because they're like going away from her, and then trying to have the middle part here closer to the face, like the body would be closer, but the wing would be away, and this would be away at this time. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pure realism here. I think just having a little bit of a cast shadow like that work, and I'm gonna add a mask to that, and basically I'm gonna just work out the shadow part here a little bit, making it a little bit more disappear on the side, and I might even just add some blur effect on it, just a little bit. Yeah, that's already better. Gonna press OK, then I'll get back on my on this here to just add a little bit more sharpness to it. All right, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I think the idea is to just get yourself a reference picture that can work. Then you can even go on the bird if you want to, and just play a little bit more with the values that are already there, trying to maybe add some more. I think the bird should have like a little bit more light on the side here, just to add like the lighting is at the same place, and probably that wing would cast a shadow. We don't have to be extremely precise necessarily, but just for the sake of having fun here, I'm just going to add a little bit more of it, and that's it. You see, already just by adding that shadow, they feel a lot more connected, and I think that's really the magic touch. Basically, just gonna add just a little bit more of making that shadow a little bit more disappear, not having to whoops, I'm not at the right place. Shadow, doing that, probably doing that because that would not be there. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add also the two other columns. What you can do also sometimes to just save time, and especially if you have like a black background like I have here, you can use the lighten or the screen. In this game, the screen is better, I think. And the screen, and yeah, it's going to take out the black. You'll be able to just move them here, and there'll be a little bit in transparency, but for now it's just as a placement, and boom, what I have here is a cool composition, at the very least what I like, and I can use this as a starter basically. So I'm just gonna go check if you guys have questions, because what I want to show you now is, and I don't need that to be open, let me close this. What I want to show you now, guys, is how to start your sketch from there. So if you have any question, let me know now. I'm just going to take a second to read the comments. It's hard to paint and follow the comments, so I'm showing my face again. Thank you, everybody that's here. This is awesome, by the way. I'm going to do this, I think, a little bit more regularly, so I can give you like a few tips. Yeah, just spend more time. I think we have some time on our hands these days, so why not taking advantage to it? So you were saying, so Greg was saying, what about that more forward wing shadow? So yeah, definitely. So like I was saying, I could go anal with this one and be like really precise about the direction of the light and everything. I think what you want to have, you can absolutely do that, and I could spend like hours on trying to find the perfect light on it, but what I'm trying to do is more having like a connection of the two elements. So having just a small cast shadow, even if it's not the perfect lighting, it's still going to create that connection between the two, and that's really what you want to have at the start. But it's a valid observation. The shadow is not perfect here, but it's still doing this. And to be honest, once I'll have started my own illustration and added my own kind of lighting on it, the difference between the two won't show up as much, and I'll be able to add probably a cast shadow on the my own illustration. So taking a few more questions. What about the lighting on the bird? Same thing, yes, absolutely. The lighting on the bird is very different right now. I think the lighting is like on top of the bird right now. It's like kind of backlit as well. So they don't match perfectly like I was saying, but what you want to have at this point is more like a roadmap to help you do your illustration kind of thing. I think I blame when you created the shadow. No worries there. The video is going to be on YouTube. After that, you'll be able to see it. All right, so let me go back to it and show you how to start that from there. So I'm going to take out that so you guys can see more, and I'll come back to the chat in a minute. So like I was saying, the lighting is not perfect, but you just have that connection already. So you can use that as basically as a starting point. So I'm going to put that on the side here, and I'm going to create a new canvas by pressing that little plus button, and that's going to create a duplicate. And with this one, what I'll do is I'm just going to take out everything out. So I have a white canvas, and I'll make sure I have enough pixels. In this case, I'm going to go 4,000 pixels wide. Should be okay. Hopefully it's not too big for like the live at the same time. I'm going to put that smaller, just so I have it just a little bit more on the side. I have more space to draw. All right, and so from now, I'm just going to show you guys a few tips, I guess, on doing sketching. I'm not going to go into like a final artwork today. What is happening? Okay, there you go. I'm not going to go into final artwork today, but I would like to give you just the basic of it. So when you start, if you like doing realism, or if you like doing stylization, that's absolutely at your style preferences. I usually go a little bit more for like realism. But when you start like this, you have your reference pictures. You have something to follow here that it kind of works. You have a little bit more of a like an interpretation of the shadow as well. I'll be able to modify, like I was saying, the bird during the illustration later. What you want to do is start with geometric shapes. So what you want to try is, if you don't know about geometric shapes technique, I'm explaining all of it, or how to measure stuff, in one of my recent blog posts on paintable.cc. You can go see that. But basically, in a nutshell, what you want to do is make sure that you do comparison. So to give you like an example on the reference picture here, what you want to do is compare this bird to the top of the window, and then this angle you want to nail it down, and then you have like that angle a little bit. You have the shape of like the face here that looks a little bit like a geometric shape. You want to look at those things. It's going to help you basically to create. And what I like to do is to always start with something loose and then getting more precise and more precise. So the first thing I'm going to probably see, I'm having like both same canvases, so that's going to be easy. I'll be able to like, all right, so this is probably like the top of like the haircut, and it's about in the middle, so that should be fine. And then like her, like I'm going to put a bigger brush, like her hair starts in about that angle, I'd say. Maybe a little bit stops about here. The chin stops about here. So I'm able to just have like that kind of a shape. And then this shape is a little bit more flat in terms of angle. And then goes kind of up like that. And then kind of goes back in it. And then you have like that triangle at the top that's kind of cut off by the wing. Whoops, I don't know what's happening. There you go. It's cut off about the wing, so you can place that. And so what you want to do is just place like placement basically, and then you have like a small triangle here that tops at the top, and then you have like that angle of the wing that goes here. And then you have the wing that kind of turns away and goes up to about here, something like that. And then you have another kind of angle, kind of like this. And yeah, just trying to see the shape as well as the bird. That's another thing that I'm looking at right now that helps correct me. Like the actual shape, contour of the bird, like this, is very interesting. So if I'm looking at this, I was able to just see like, all right, I think there's something that it's too short here. So I'm trying to modify that. And when you do this like that, what's going to appear is you'll be able to have like just more precise in terms of observation. If you're doing your own style, if you're going like stylization completely, this is not going to help as much necessarily. It's going to help to give you like the right kind of shape design, I guess, but maybe not as much. And then I can just modify a little bit the hair here. And then I kind of have like, I'm going to put just like two triangle just to place the first bird here, and then the second bird can be like a little bit more of a like, it's not really a triangle, it's kind of different shape. right there. All right, so that's the placement, and then you can go into like more refined. And I could paint on top of like this one if I wanted to, but I'm just gonna create a new layer, because usually when you create a new layer, then you have just more control. I'm gonna put the first one to a lower opacity, and just, whoops, basically have another pass at it. I'm gonna take that off so I can see more. And for this one, I wanna go just a little bit more precise, like a little bit curve here. I'm gonna try to just have just a little bit more precise in terms of like the contours and shape of that bird. Now, some people would tell you to go through the form, and they're absolutely right. Sometimes I'd like to just start with the contour, just to keep like one step at a time, just to try to establish like a stencil almost of the shape kind of thing. And then it's like another kind of shape there, and then that turns out, and then you got that shape of that bird, and then the head of the bird goes right about, well, actually that goes kind of lower like that, and then right about here. Then the pigeon body, which stops right about there. Just taking your time like that, it's gonna sure. And you'll see, I'll try to finish that until like the kind of almost final like sketch. You'll see that it looks like nothing at the beginning, and then you finish with something that's actually pretty accurate. So I'm just gonna go here and try to get the movement. Sometimes just having like a few lines of movement is gonna help you, and then I'm not going too much in details here, but you have like kind of that shape, and then like this. Whoops. Just like that. And all right, that's going to be good for this. And I'm going to try to put a few features. I see the nose that comes about here, I'd say. And then for the lips, they're about that height. Then you got the eyes. I think the eyes should be a little bit upper, and that's where I can see like, all right, so if I'm looking at things like, let me show you this, things like the bottom of the wing here. You can see that the nose is much lower, and then if I look at my illustration right here, you can see that they're almost the same. So I can start correcting myself with those things. So I know now that I probably have to erase. Whoops, is that the same? No, okay. I probably have to just bring the nose a little bit lower, so I can just put that, and that's should be about my nose. So I'll be able to just place the nose right here, kind of thing. Then the lips, I think could be even a little bit lower. I was trying to put like the separation in between the two, right about there. So now the eye, which should arrive about where the body stands here, kind of thing. And within this angle, kind of thing. And it's very geometric, and it doesn't look like much right now, but let's continue pushing it. I'll try to have that a bit closer, and I think I'm going to go pure realism with this one. So that's going to be the second one, and then from there, I pretty much have like a roadmap of what am I supposed to do. So I can just put that lower in terms of opacity and create a new layer, and then try to just go more precisely this time. I put that even lower, and yeah, I just love this technique. When you just take your time, and it's not overwhelming. You're not trying to do everything like at once. I'll take that out. Whoops. Whoops. I'm just gonna go a little bit more, and then Probably what I would try to do is to nail, I think the eye is going to be the one thing that needs a little bit more doing. And yeah, maybe while I do that, I can open the chat, because I think at this point I'm going to take more of my time. So if you have any questions, anything that you want to say, I'll be able to answer them, or at least I will try to read the chat at the same time. All right, so first of all, thanks again, guys, for joining me. At this point, I think I'm just going to take my time, and this session is going to be more like a little bit of a hangout together. You know what? Give me a second here. I got my second screen not so far. And I'll be able, I think, to just drop. Let me see if I can do that. If I can just drop the chat on the second screen, so I can have my full-on screen for this one. Okay, there you go. So I'll be able to see the chat at the same time. So yeah, all right. So let me just continue while this is opening. So yeah, so what I was saying is thank you so much for joining me. Question for you guys. If you are in the chat and you've been participating to the 1 week portrait, let me know in the chat. I'm actually working on trying to find a date to basically give another try, give another go to the 1 week portrait kind of soonish. So let me know if you participated. Let me know if you like it. And let me know if you would like to have it again soon, because I think that I will try to have it for next month. I think everybody has a little bit more time on their hand right now, and spending time at home and having something to do could be interesting. So Angela is asking, what is the best size of page, which page height and format? That totally depends on your computer. So when it comes to this one, I'm having a 4000 by 4000, and I'm doing a live screen, and it's working well. But that's because I have a 32 gigabyte of RAM memory, which means that my computer is quite powerful enough to have enough power to have fluid when I draw. If you don't have that kind of power, just go lower. At the end of the day, it's look at the power of a computer and try to go as large as you can without losing too much of it. So I see a few people saying that they participate and love it. So that's nice. Now the chat's going too fast for me to read. Awesome. Well, I see Lucas, and I thought I could have been doing that. I guess not. I see Lucas that says that he participated and loved it. I see Josh as well, GOQ, Ini. All right, this is great. Well, I'm assuming you guys will be happy to know that it's coming soon. And yeah, wow, Lucas, you got 64 gig. I'm jealous now. So yeah, for now I got the 32 because I'm traveling a lot. I have a MacBook, and unfortunately my MacBook was very expensive to put more RAM than what I already have right now. So I went with the 32, but eventually my goal within the next next couple of years is to have like a studio where I'm like established. Right now I've been traveling a lot in Asia. I basically left Canada, I want to say about 6 years ago. And since then, I never kind of had like a proper home. So I'm looking to establish myself. I think I'll be probably establish myself in Colombia, although could be somewhere else, but I think Colombia, Bogota would be my city. I don't know if any of you guys are in Bogota, Colombia. Let me know in the chat. But yeah, that's the reason why. Yeah, MacBooks are great. What I like about MacBooks, especially because I've been a graphic designer for 10 years before doing illustration, and I'm just used to the OS, really, what's called the operating system of Mac. I think it's much better than pretty much anything we have to this day. And so, yeah, for that reason, I prefer Macs. But to be honest with you, if I were not to do like, because sometimes I still do like some basic graphic design, some photo retouching and so on. If I were just doing illustration, I think a PC is more than enough. I think a PC is more than enough, and that you can have just amazing results with it. One thing here I want to talk about the illustration. You see, what I'm going to do is try to really nail the two eyes. I'm just going to kind of take this one and make a copy and switch it and place it under the bird, even though I'm not going to see it. It's just to be able to establish like the distance between the two of them. This is going to help, and then I'll be able to delete it afterwards. Did you give some workshop in Germany? Yes, absolutely did. Absolutely did. Let me just kind of guess I'm gonna show my face, you guys, because I feel like it's better if I talk to you and I show my face, and I think it's not masking anyway the illustration. Yes, I did. That was the first place that I started to give workshop in Germany. I lived 2 years in Berlin, and I absolutely fell in love with the city. It's one of my favorite places. I got lots of good friends over there. I just like the easygoing vibe of Berlin, really. And yeah, I was going to a small workshop, a small co-working space called ESDIP. And yeah, that's where I started to teach, and I just fell in love with teaching. And since then, I created Paintable. And since Paintable, well, I created a few tutorials, both free and premium tutorials that I like to share with you guys, basically. And if you go on Paintable, if you don't know what Paintable is, you just have to go to paintable.cc. So that's the website /blog. And yeah, you'll be able to see just we have a few. I'm not able to paint today and talk at the same time. It's super hard. We have a few tutorials. They're free. Some about sketching, like I was saying, where I talk about all the stuff that I was showing earlier, but also about coloring, about portraiture. They are all free. And we also have, for the people that want to be just a little bit more serious with their career, we have the Academy, where I created a series of, let me know in the chat if you're in the Academy. I created a series of tutorials, basically, in a certain order, because I think that's what's important, is to make sure that you have the right order. I think the YouTubes and my blog are great resources, lots of cool free resources for artists, and this is awesome, and I totally believe in it, and that's why I keep like producing some and giving some, but they're not always the best when it comes to like learning skills, because they don't have any order, and you need that order to be able to just put your mind at ease when you're learning something. If you're always like kind of like doubting, is that the right step? Should I be learning this? Should I be spending more time on this? Should I learn anatomy? Should I learn coloring? Should I learn, perspective? If you're always asking yourself that question, then you're always doubting yourself, and you lose a lot of energy and time actually in that process. And I've been certainly doing it. And that was my kind of my response of that for me, like the fix basically was to find the Academy, create small exercises that are very precise, and that can basically just put your mind at ease while you're learning new skills, and let you know that you can take your time and just focus on whatever it's in front of you, instead of having doubt all the time if it's the right step. So that's the reason why I created the Academy. And I see a lot of chat. I'm just want to read here what you guys says. Okay, I'm just going to scroll back here. So Lucas says, David, do you use a standard graphic tablet or switch to iPad or Cintiq Pro? I'm using, I love my tablet. It's a very old one. Let me show it to you guys. That's that kind of thing. It's a bamboo tablet that I had for years. The story behind it is I used to have a Cintiq, not a Cintiq, a Intuos Pro, but when I was in Bali, it broke. And I was in the middle of an island in the middle of like, you know, Southeast Asia. So it was really hard for me to find a good tablet. And I find this one, and since then, it's been seriously 2 years I'm using this. It's never broken because I'm always traveling. Well, this one is built like a tank. So I'm just keeping. But if I were to be home and have a studio, I'd definitely purchase probably a more professional, probably a Cintiq. I think I would be interested in a Cintiq. I do have an iPad Pro. I don't spend enough time on it. Matter of fact, I just put the chat here that I'm reading. I'm using it as a second screen. That's how I'm using it. Yes, I like Procreate. I've been doing a few illustrations and I want to keep doing it. I think Procreate is an amazing software, very powerful, professional powerful, I would say. So yes, absolutely. What do you think of XP Pen? I think XP Pen have great products. I don't know exactly the one that you're saying, Ahmed, but they have great products. I think it's a great great company. Photoshop or Procreate? I use Photoshop mostly, and I love Procreate. Just trying to see if I didn't miss anything. So yeah, we have the Academy's member, so that's awesome. Yeah, the Academy. Yeah, that's why pretty much I spend all my time these days trying to work on stuff. Right now, people that had questions about lighting, I'm actually building a lighting module as we speak. It's taking me for a little bit more time with everything that's happening, but I'm definitely building it, and I'm gonna have a free portion that I'll be able to put on the blog when that's gonna be ready. So yeah, I'll continue this illustration now. So what was I saying? So yeah, I was talking about like how I think it's important to have the right steps to not feel overwhelmed, and that's the reason why I built the Academy. All right, here's the tricks for when you paint. When you draw lips, if you put more emphasis and more thicker lines in the middle of your lips when you're doing a sketch, they're gonna look better. I see sometimes people doing like very thick lines outside. It can look good, but I tend, and maybe it's a personal preference, so you know, take it with like a pinch of salt here, what I'm saying. But if you usually when you do like just a little bit more of a thicker line in the middle, it kind of looks more voluptuous, and then you're able to add some volume later on when you're doing the rendering of it. Trying also to have like the thick line, thin line kind of going on, like here, for example, marking the thicker line for the nostrils, but not going like all over the board, can also add just a little bit more harmony to your lines. So that's something I'm doing right here. Same thing here, for example, I could have like just a thinner line, I guess, for this here. There's kind of a line on top of the eyelashes and stuff. Huyon asking Bloman. Huyon do great product as well, but I'll be honest, I tried a Huon tablet years ago that I didn't like. The reason was simple. Their pen, the tip here had a spring in it, and I didn't like the feeling of it. I prefer to have a hard tip on a hard surface, and it feels more realistic than having a spring on the tip. But I didn't try all the tablets, so maybe they have good tablets today. But I think they do great professional products still with a great price. We all know Wacom. To my understanding, I think Wacom does like at the very least, I'd say my favorite products. But they're doing higher price range, let's say. So it's not always affordable for everybody. So I can understand that having another tablet makes more sense. So Huion definitely, XP Pen definitely. You just have to, I guess, yeah, I just have to spend more time. To be honest, when I did try the Huion, I didn't spend like months and months like trying tablet and trying to really learn the skills with it, because I was going from like a hard tip to like a spring. I just didn't like the transition, and I kind of just quit there without really pushing it more than that. Here, that's a trick here. You want to do? I want to do the wing here, so I'm just gonna do like the movement of it, and then try to see on the where, and then that's gonna give me just like just where am I supposed to, and then like all the lines are supposed to kind of connect there. So I don't even have to go just more precise than that, because this is still not the final sketch. This is like still like I'm gonna go back and have a tracing of this one at some point as well. So I'm just really like trying stuff. Earth is asking, what do you think about Procreate? I really think Procreate is amazing. I think it's easy to use. It's professional enough. There's a lot of features there's few features that I wish they had. Like I wish they could have like group masks. I think it's a very important way to kind of work with group masks. So I'm disappointed that they don't have it, but I'm pretty sure that they'll have to follow at some point. Right now, only like professional desktop sketches, kind of sketches. That's me trying to talk and draw at the same time. Professional software only have the group masks, and I think it's just very important, especially when you're doing digital illustrations, to work with masks. Will really help you a lot when it comes to time to rendering. You're gonna save a lot of time doing this. So I'm assuming that they're gonna have it at some point. So Nikki says, I have a Huion Giano, and it has a little give in the tip, but not really springy. It's like a Wacom Bamboo, about the same. Well, you see, that's where experience counts. I don't have much experience with it. I just remember there was just a tiniest difference. I don't even remember how much of a spring there was. I just remember there was like a little bit springy, and it kind of disturbed my natural flow. And I was like, all right, you know what? I don't want to have to relearn a new tablet. So for me, it was a no-go. But thanks for sharing, Nikki. This is awesome. So putting the foots here. Like I was saying, this is still to me just like a kind of like a rough sketch. I'm just still placing like, where am I going to have those wings? Trying to get in the shape. When you're doing the wings, very important to understand the place of origin, like where are the wings going? They're all going to the same place, and I think it's like almost with that point, I'd say. Let's say. Something like that. Could go more precise, but I think that's fine, and then a little bit more here. Okay. All right. Beside tablets, do you guys have any questions about sketching, since we're in the middle of it? Let me know in the chat. I'll try to answer as many as I can. And yeah, if you guys want to keep hanging out with me, I'll just push on a little bit more this one. I'm in the flow of it, so I might just try to finish it. And yeah, I think it's going pretty well so far. As you can see, like I started with something that was, very geometric, and then added, just a few placement. And now I'll put those two together. And now I'm in a place where I can like just adding just a little bit more, a little bit more like precisely details on it, and it looks good. Pedro says, I love the way you painted the nose, eyes. How long have it take you to learn these shapes? To be honest, I'm still learning, like everybody, right? I teach what I know, and I learn what I don't know. That's what I do on a constant base, basically. And so I think for me, the trick was really to start painting everything geometrically. So to imagine everything into like a ball or sharp angles, and just seeing those angles really help. So like when I'm looking at the nose here, for example, to give you like a tracing over so you understand. When I look at the nose, there's different ways you can see it. You can see it as a ball. You can also see it like with two angles right here that helps, and then like kind of a boxy shape. But when you look at all the facets of the nose, there's like that shape here, there's like that shape there, there's like those two curves, and then those two flat ones right here. And then I'm still to this day kind of learning which ones of those planes, because basically those are planes that you're trying to paint. What's of those planes that I really like, and then you take some, you leave some. It's about designing like the way you like to draw. Hey Jacob, it's nice to see you. So yeah, so that's how I do it these days. I try to just break down everything into geometric shapes, and it helps you just calm down, because you're like, all right, you know what? It's gonna look ugly until it looks beautiful, and that's fine. And what I'm going to do is just take my time. You see, right now I'm seeing something that I think I'm going to try to correct. I think it's because the wing should have a little bit more of an angle kind of thing. It should kind of be just a little bit more angular and a little bit less long. The wing should stop about here. And that's where like having like more than one sketch is good. The wing should stop about here and then kind of break down here, and then that is going too far. So I might just take that piece of the wing and just put it smaller around here, and then I'll have to just kind of modify the tip just a little bit like this, and then I'm going to clean that. I'll put those two a little bit lower in opacity, not that much, but a little bit more. And what I want to create is that space here. I'm supposed to have a space here. It's either my column or bird is just too big, and it might be, so I might actually just take my time here and I'm looking at the distance. I'm going back to like measuring. I'm looking at the distance between the body and the wing, the distance between the peak and the wing here. I'm going to try to first nail those. So I'm like, all right, so that's the distance that should be, so that's about right, and then that's about right too. So probably that my bird then is too big, because it feels like that the wing and everything is kind of, yeah, it's kind of in the right shape kind of thing. So I might just take the whole bird right here and shrink it. But I got to be careful, because I know that the placement of the bottom wing is at the right place. So I might just, what you can do when you're in Photoshop, you can press on Option, and if you press on Option, it's going to bring that, you know, that little pin here. That's the same pin that you can have the control when you click at the top left here. If you click in the middle or in the corner, it's going to bring it. And basically, wherever you place it, this is where it's going to rotate or shrink and get bigger. So what I'll do is I'll just place it there, and I'm going to try to just, yeah, shrink the bird and kind of move it out just a tiny bit. And now that placement should be a little bit better. All right. let's just continue with this here. So now I created just a bit more space. I'm able to just have like my eyebrow here, and then yeah, the hair goes around here. So I have the eyebrow right there, and then I'll see a little bit more like the bridge of the nose, and add a little bit more space for it as well, because there's like that shape here that goes down with the eye. I think in terms of, yeah. Sometimes you can also help yourself and try to find the geometric shape within the shadows, because the shadows also helps you with, you know, the placements of the different elements. So I see like a kind of a shape here, shadow a little bit. It's like a little bit of a shape there, a little bit shading it. You put it like more pale lines will help you. There's like definitely a shadow on the chin here that can be placed. And these will help me later on if I were to render this illustration. I don't know if I'm going to render it because I want to finish the other one. I might render it afterwards. So yeah, so that looks pretty good already. I'm just going to replace the hair here. That should be just a little bit more curvy like that, I guess, kind of. Something like that. And Jacob, we do have a coffee page, but I don't think we'll accept the donation for a long time. We just did a blog post about Ko-fi. If you want to go on the website, it's paintable.cc. We have a page about Ko-fi. We wanted to talk about it, especially in these days with what's happening. I think having an income from your art, staying at home is a great way to start. And Ko-fi is absolutely great for that. Ko-fi is like, it's like a Patreon, but I'd say better in the terms that they don't take any cut on the money that people give you. And you don't have to spend you know, a lot of time building like different tiers and everything. You can simply just open your page and yeah, start accepting donation from your fans right away. So yeah, we have a blog post right now talking about all the details of this. You can go see it. It's on our website. And if you're part of the mailing list as well, you should have received our newsletter that we send every week. And we're talking about Ko-fi in more details, what they offer, and yeah, how to have the coffee goal, which is a perfect way to accept donation, but also to have membership kind of functionality where you can have a few a few of your fans give you a monthly donation, which can be really good to round up your months when you're an artist. What you need to do is simply communicate with your fans, give them your sketches, your illustration a little bit, and all of this. I think that's something that every artist can do pretty much easily. You just simply have to have a few more illustration every week, and then you'll be able to. Would it be possible to replay this video for people in different time zone? I wish I could watch it now, but it's 2 a.m. Well, thank you so much for being there. And yes, it will be on YouTube. As soon as I finish, I'll put it on YouTube. And probably my goal with those lives is eventually I'm going to go back to them and create proper tutorials, because those are more like me hanging out with you guys, giving you a few tips. But the tips that I give in there I think are really good. So I'm going to try to make as well eventually some proper tutorials with like proper step-by-step, like I was saying. This is really the way to learn, I think. But yeah, in the meantime, you'll be able to have a replay of this video. And thank you for being there. Thank you for the dedication. 2 a.m. is late enough. You can go to bed. Thank you so much for joining us. I will have the recording for you probably when you wake up. So I'm just replacing the birds here a little bit. They don't have to be perfect at the same place, although if I wanted to be anal about it, I would probably take those two and put it just a little bit lower right there. Something like that. Thank you, Eva. That's nice to hear. All right. Well, thanks. I want to say Ilyaskin. Well, I'm not going to finish that, but thanks. Thanks for staying. So yeah, I'm just going to try to push it a little bit more. I think I'm already done with like the loose sketch. What I'll do here in a second is basically try to push the final one. I'm going to put just a few pieces. Okay, that's annoying. Let's create a new one here. I'll try to give a little bit more movement to the hair. Even though like I'm not playing, like if I were to do the hair here, I'm just gonna put some black and have like just very little like highlights. You won't see much, but just having a few lines of the flow of the hair can just help, I guess, just to kind of finish this illustration a bit more. Some lines here. I didn't flip it yet. I should flip it. The flip test kind of stand. That's pretty good. And probably have just a more refined line here kind of thing. That seems pretty good. What makes a portrait stylized? That's an awesome question. What it makes portrait stylized? There's a few things you can do, and let me name them for you. So, stylization of anything comes with repetition of the things you create. So, let's say if you have a very stylized way to create shapes, right? So the way you create your eyes or your lips, the face, those kind of things, the shape itself is a stylization. Now you could also go a very realistic, but have a very texture way to render. That's a style as well. So that would be a stylized way to do it. Stylization is all about the repetition of anything that you're doing. So you can choose to, it could also be subject, would be like considered as a stylization, not in terms of like one by one, but in terms of like having a portfolio very stylized, for example. If you have like one kind of subject, like I have an artist that I'm following, he's doing great. I think it's oil paintings or acrylics. And what he takes pictures of, it's pretty much the same models all the time. They have a lot of tattoos, and they have like just funny things like special glasses, or like a floatable, what's it called? Pink flamingo kind of thing. And he plays with those terms, and just that creates a style. On top of that, this artist I'm talking about has a very texturized way to place his colors. So all those things that you repeat in a piece, in many pieces, will become your styles. So I often hear a lot of people being like, how do I get a style? Well, you get a style by basically repeating the stuff that you like. So it's really as easy as that. And you'll do that naturally. Your style is going to get more and more like precise and better with time. But anybody on this chat right now has a style. You just don't see it. Most of artists, we don't see our own style. So hopefully that's answering your question. Okay, wait, I see a few questions now that pop up. Let me try to answer a few of them. Do you have any advice, says Ini, do you have any advice on how to speed up your drawing pace? I feel like this is one really big thing preventing me from being a professional illustrator. This is one of the things that's, I wish I had like well, there is. Okay, you know what, let me finish that. Starting like I do will help you. So doing like having a step-by-step to follow, basically, because therefore you don't go in too much details, you don't lose yourself, because you lose a lot of time when you go in details, basically. So if you go geometric and then loose and then final, those are 3 steps you can follow, which will help you with time. So that's one way to do it. The other way is really to practice a lot, because it's all about your own flow. But if you have from the beginning a step-by-step to follow, then it's going to be easier for you to follow it each time. What makes you lose a lot of time is not only your knowledge of it, but it's also your uncertainty of like, I'm going to add more details there, and then, oh, okay, but that unbalanced the illustration, so I'm going to go here and add more details, or that's unbalanced again, I'm going to go there and add more details. And doing that back and forth is what makes you lose a lot of time. If you go geometric, loose, and final, then you'll be good. But if you do like lots of details someplace, another detail someplace, putting the details basically too fast will make you lose time. So if you're doing like this, you'll gain some momentum, I'd say. Pamela says, what are you doing live without my permission? I didn't get notification. Well, I'm sorry, Pamela. We did send two emails and a few places in the community as well, in Facebook community. I'm sorry you didn't see those. So yeah, sorry, but I'm glad you're here. So Angela says, how do you ensure your lines remain loose during sketching process? This is all about flow and movement. And this is something that I still struggle a lot about. I can talk about it for sure, but it's still something I struggle a lot. You want to see the movements of things. Let me go on top of this here. So movement of the wing. There is this movement, there is this movement, there is this movement. Those curves are super important. You want to try to maintain those curves as much as possible. Same thing with the wings of the birds. We have a curve like that and then a curve like that. As long as you put like flowing curves of stuff and you try to maintain them, that's the flow of your illustration. All right, that's what's going to give you that flow. If you're in the contrary, try to be, when you're doing, especially when you're doing a geometric sketch, because it helps with placement and proportion, but it can kill your flow. So it's important when you're doing like your shapes that you kind of keep it. So if I'm doing like a triangle, I'm trying to try to remain within that flow. So having just a little bit more of like a curvy way to place them. It's still geometric, but it still has that flow a little bit. So this is one way to ensure that you keep loose in the way you do it, is try to always do that SC curve. Those really help because they represent the flow basically. So hopefully this is helping. Pamela, don't be mad. The recording will be on YouTube. Let me see if I miss anything else. I'm going to try to just keep painting. What if you? So I have Yeba says, what if your style changes with each drawing you do? I noticed that I had that problem. Well, this is because you're still looking for it. So don't stress about it. If your style it changes a lot, it's because you're still looking for it, and that's okay. Just keep at it. Don't asking yourself what is your style is the best way to not advance on your style. Just keep at it. What you're doing every day is you're looking at stuff that you like, and you try to paint it. And when you try to paint it, you don't copy it perfectly. What you do is retain what you really like about it and incorporate that to your own style. Within a few months, a few years maybe, of doing that, you'll develop a style that's very precise. But I got news for you. Even the artists that you love today, that you think that their style is so on point, they're still changing. They might not change in a drastic way like you're doing today because they have so much accumulation. They know about composition, they know about flow, they know about line, they know about so many things, about anatomy. So they know so much that it feels to you that their style is always the same, but it's not. They will change sometimes the very subtle things that can be maybe just observed by the more professional artists, but they do change their style. That's going to be like a constant thing. The best thing you can do for your style is to not ask yourself, what is your style? Keep on looking at stuff you like, try to implement those things into your drawings, and you'll develop a kick-ass style in no time. That I can guarantee. Pamela, am I doing realistics? I'm not sure yet. For now, I'm just trying to do like a pretty sketch, I guess, and I'll try to render it, I guess, this week or next week. Cool Guy Design says, good tip. Love your description for now. It's easy to get. It's so easy to get rigid. Yeah, definitely. That's hard to get out of it. But if you keep the flowing with your lines, you'll be fine. It is Photoshop. It's absolutely Photoshop, Pamela. I'm going to try to finish. You guys are putting, you know what? I'm going to continue a little bit drawing and I'll be back to the chat. Thank you so much, guys. I really love that you're here. I might just spend another 40 minutes with you guys. I'll try to finish this and then I can be like a little bit more concentrated, I guess, on answering questions. So yeah, so right now I have pretty much, I think, what I call the loose. You know what? I'm going to put that down opacity. And at that moment, that's probably the place where I want to probably take out the geometric sketch. I don't really need it. I could keep the loose. Sometimes there's lines, but you know what? I don't think I need it. I'm just going to create a top layer on top of this. And at this point, I'm just going to keep that as a reference right here. Whoopsie doopsie. And that's where if you have a small canvas, that's where you want to boost out the pixels. Before you do your final sketch, boost out the pixels because you do want to have more precision in it. Don't go over the board. You could have like a smaller canvas, then final sketch, bigger canvas, and then when you're gonna start your lighting, keep that same canvas, and then when you want to do adding details, then you blow out your canvas even more. If you do a too big of a canvas, and you're not Lucas that has 64 gigs of RAM in his computer, you're gonna have a lot of lag. So try to wait until you're doing details to have like the maximum resolution for it. All right, so I'm gonna keep that same brush. I like this brush. It's not working super precise, but it's kind of precise enough. I like to have like bigger lines kind of thing. And so yeah, from now I'm just basically tracing what I have. I'm looking at the lines, and that's where it's really important to try to keep the flow of the lines. There's certain like smaller lines that I've been creating that I think I like, and I'm still designing. I'm designing like the shapes on just a much smaller ratio kind of thing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put those lines here. And when I'm doing the final line, I don't want to put as many lines as I did. I want to put less lines because I'll be rendering. Those lines will disappear, so I don't need them. What I need is enough precision in terms of the lines that I'll be able to place the values and start the rendering without having to ask myself too many questions. But I don't need too much lines. You know what I'll do is I'll try to do like the final sketch here, and I'll show you guys like the first few values that you want to place in terms of shadow and light, because those are really essentials, and they're pretty easy to put. After that, it's the rendering of it that can take a lot of time. I want to just jump here quick, like more precisely, and try to have this, and you'll see like I don't put too much. I still do thick and thin lines because it looks nice, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to do like a very precise. I'm going to flip that. It's going to be easier. Sometimes you want to flip your canvas just because your wrist will have the right angle, especially if you have like you don't have something like a Cintiq. Sometimes it can be interesting, and then when you flip it, you see like different mistakes that you've been doing. But yeah, what I was saying is I don't want to do like a beauty sketch. I just want to have something precise enough so I can like, yeah, just have a roadmap basically to render. This is simply another document, Pamela. So this is how I have my reference. I have just two documents side by side, but I'll be talking about the plugins that I'm using when it comes to reference, which is a plugin from a company called Anastasia, which is great. I'll be able to show you that after this. I'm just going to try to finish that. And so yeah, so like for example, like the lips, you're trying to catch the occlusion shadows basically. So just having like the line here in the middle, and then just almost just showing the top here, the bottom here. Then I can imagine that line. I don't need the rest. If I have those lines here, I kind of don't need the rest of the lines. I'm able to imagine the shape of the lips. Although in this case, I think I might just maybe adjust a little bit because I kind of like that shape, and I want to make sure that I can keep it. So yeah, let me just quickly finish this. Kind of. And so even you'll see that even my final sketch here won't be super precise. I don't have the most accurate hand, let's say. My hand is kind of, I want to say wonky, it's not the right term, but let's say that doing like straight lines for me is very hard. I could definitely use more practice with this, but since I'm mostly doing some rendering after that, I kind of don't need to have the most precise sketch. I just need precise enough. I think I'm kind of repeating myself. So bear with me just long enough so I can finish like that sketch, and then I'll show you a few steps on how to render it. I was not planning on, but mine as well. I think it's going to help you guys. Plus, it's very easy steps that has to do with understanding the lighting and placing in a few steps the lighting, the shadows, and then basically blending those two together, and it creates a miracle. Really. So let me finish this here. The eye. See, I'm not putting the pupil in the eye right now. It's not necessary. I don't need it. Just want to kind of just finish that. Having just that flow line, having that flow right here is very important. Then trying to get that flow that comes from that side here is going to be important. So when you're doing like the edges, you're trying to just kind of eyeball the direction of that wing. Flipping the canvas when you have difficulties with certain angles, like for me, that angle is kind of difficult. You see here, that line is kind of rigid. So what I could do is just try to have just a little bit more of a curve, I guess. I might just push that just a little bit more further here, and just kind of having just a tiny bit of a curve here would help with the flow. And then I'll flip it. I'm not going to paint the hair because I'll be rendering the hair, so I can just put like the first line here for like that. Let me see what I got here. The first line here. And for those birds, I kind of don't need. So this is for me, like this is like all I need to start. I'm going to actually merge, look up here, this. I'm going to merge like the loose sketch and the final sketch together like this. And I'm going to start from this. All right, I'll put some lighting and some shadow. I'm just going to check the chat. You guys are asking a few questions. Let me see if I can answer a few of them. What is the point of a resketch when you could start rendering? Well, depending on your abilities of understanding light and shadow, which is not an easy thing, having a precise sketch will help you to just stay within the boundaries. When you start with a very, very loose sketch, which is absolutely doable. There's people even doing without a sketch that starts only with values, and it's a technique that I love to do more when I do reference pictures, not from imagination. From imagination, I would like to have like a sketch. But in this case, for example, I could have started with just the values, but spending that time really is going to help you to just have a roadmap. And it's really, that's what I see in my students a lot, is when you don't know where you're going and you have to guess all the time what's the next step, that's where you lose a lot of time and a lot of momentum. And those two things are very important for you to learn. So the reason why I spend more time on doing the sketch is just for that, making sure that it's precise enough. But you're absolutely right, Elliot. You could have started just with a very loose one and just go there, but it's not everybody that is able to go to that step. That's the reason why I'm showing it. And so how do you get to stay on top? Oh yeah, okay, so I see what you're meaning, Pamela. So the reason why I'm able to see 2 by 2 like here, if you go into window and you go application frame, you want to take out the application frame. This way you'll be able to have window side by side. So Rudolph is asking, when I rotate my canvas in Photoshop, it happened really often that my focus move from the details I want to draw. Do you know why? Oh yeah, I think that was a bug. I think it was doing, you mean like when you're doing this and then you start zooming in and it kind of goes somewhere else? It was a bug. I think I had that like a few weeks ago and then I updated the Photoshop and it went away. So maybe just update your Photoshop. Okay, yeah, for the rest I think all right, Pamela, I'll show you again. So basically what you want to go is you want to just take out the application frame here. If you take it out, you'll be fine. All right, so what I want to do here is just push a little bit more the first rendering steps basically. So create a new layer, obviously, and in this case, the illustration is very dark. What I'll do is I'm going to switch this to grayscale. I have a shortcut here that I can share with you guys that I really like. This shortcut when you're doing Command Y, is because I'm going over, let me just show it there here. If you go over View and if you go Color Proof, that's the shortcut I'm doing. You won't be able to see it until you do like a setup. You want to go to View, Proof Setup, and then I don't know why it does that on the screen. I can see that you guys are seeing like very small. So I'm just going to say everything very loud so you can follow. So View, Proof Setup, and then what you want to go is to Custom. And when Custom is going to be open, you want to go and find the, in the proof condition, you want to go and find the dot gain 20%. And that's going to give you the ability to change it to grayscale like this. It's a great way. This way I'm able to just click on something and just, there's many other ways, by the way. There are more that they're easier than that as well. I like this one because on a painting, I'll be able to actually continue painting with colors, but you could also just put like a top layer, fill it with black, and then put that layer to color. And that would be to grayscale. That's going to help you with the values when you're doing like a black and white version of any color picture. So I'll start with a gray. I'm going to pick it up straight from the painting here and fill up the canvas with it. I'll make sure to put the lines to multiply. And yeah, just put the first few values. So the hair is pretty much black, so I'm not gonna bother here. I'll just put like the black. And so bear with me, this is like the boring part where I need to be like precise enough, because if you're going too fast here, I'll take the other brush. If you're going too fast here, yeah, your shapes that you took so much time to place with your lines, they won't help you, because you need to be precise enough, basically. And even saying that, I'm going over the lines and everything. So let's see here, for example, and this is really just the basic. You want to do, it's basically on 3 steps. You want to do flat colors, then you want to do shadows, and then you want to do, well, not highlight, but light in general. So for now, I'm doing just the flat values. I'm going to put that to transparency, so I can do the bird, which is like on top of that. And I might just try to have as precise as possible. So like I say, this is like the boring part, very sorry, but for me to be able to show you the other part, I need to do that precisely. And And I might not go super precise because, well, this is not the time, I guess. Just want to show you the beginning of it, kind of thing. There we go. That's working for now. As you can see, my lines are all over the place right now. But kind of don't want to spend too much time on that. So I can show you the next step, which is a lot more fun. It's because really adding the shadows to any illustration is really what makes it like come to life, come 3D kind of thing. So right now I got like my shapes. I'll put the bird a bit low, like a bit bigger, and I might just copy it a few times like this and put it together. I got my basic shapes here. It's missing 2 other birds, but that's something I could add like kind of later. And to add just like the basic things, once again, you want to observe the shadows. My trick for you is try to start with hard shapes. So for example, I'll put that back to what it was. It's because of that. Therefore, I'm able to take colors. So you have like a kind of a almost like a cast shadow here. It's kind of hard. You have that shape here. You want to look at those shapes. You have like a little patch here of like light. It's going to be important. You kind of have like line here. Kind of does that shape. You want to look at those shapes, and although their edges is not hard edge, you want to imagine it for the time being to be hard edges. This is going to help you to design the shadows because those are shapes, and those shapes are important. Like I got the shadow here that I added and whatever, and the light on the bird, then I could have and try to make it a little bit more realistic, I guess. I could maybe try to add like the cast shadow here of the bird itself, the head of the bird kind of thing, and I could even maybe just kind of add the cast shadow there if I want to. So you want to look at those things before you add your shadows. And you can just watch there. Okay. So all right, let's continue. So I'm gonna go under my lines, and I'm not gonna touch up the hair. I'm obviously gonna touch to the face. So I'm gonna go here, and so yeah, I'll try to be as hard shape as possible. And you don't want to go necessarily like too dark. I'm going to take that off so I can see what I'm doing. Don't want to go too dark too fast. You'll be able like to darken it later on. So I'm going to go with like this, although it's not dark enough necessarily. And then just try to design. If you're designing like good shapes within your shadows, like in this case, I'm going to put like the whole eye in the shadow. I'll put like the highlights on top of it afterwards. See, like you see here, there's like a little bit of light supposedly, but I'm not going to put it now. I'll put it afterwards, kind of thing. And so I could just kind of finish that shadow kind of here like this. I feel like the shadow goes under the eye, kind of a corner here. Then there's like kind of a line here. That here. I'll put all of this in the shadow. The top lip is absolutely in the shadow. The bottom lip is not, but right under it there's like a cast shadow from the bottom lip. And I can put in the shadow. Something like that. And then the nose here. And you don't want to look at, like all those places that I'm putting, they have like subtleties of light and shadow. They're not just pure shadow necessarily, but you want to start by kind of making a generalization of the shadow shape. you'll be able to add subtlety afterwards. Like here, for example, there's like kind of a this, like that, I'd say. And yeah, I'm just gonna add maybe a little bit more here. There's definitely like a shadow shape here. And I'm on a separate layer, so you can use the paint and carve technique, which is basically to paint and then carve whatever is needed to be taken off without having to worry about your original drawing. Now there's like a clear definition here. I'm not gonna put it because I'll probably put it with like the lighting afterwards. There's like the shadow here of the bird that I can like kind of place a little bit more here, and then that goes down like that kind of thing. There's definitely like a shadow kind of here, here, here. There you go. So now that I have all of this, it's already taking form. You see, like just from doing this to this, all of a sudden I added some volume, and that was not complicated. And I went with hard shape. And if you just give me the opportunity to just add the shadows and the light everywhere, then I'm going to show you how you can round it up very easily. And I'm going over the board here. I'll try to wrap it up within 2 hours. This is long enough, I think. So let me just continue quickly here. I'm going to go over the bird. For the bird, I'll pick up just something like a little bit more dark, but not too dark. And like I was saying, there's probably like kind of a shadow that could come kind of here, I guess, for the bird that is not on the picture, because the two pictures were like not necessarily like fitting together, but in theory probably that would be there, and then probably that you would have like kind of a shadow casted by the wing right there. And those are for the cast shadow. Probably that the bird should not be white. That's a mistake on my behalf. I'm gonna use the hue and saturation here and just kind of change the value, and probably now change the value of the shadow that I just put to something darker, so we have a difference. Therefore I'll be able to put light afterwards. So yeah, so that, and yeah, I could go into details here, which I won't, but I might just put it to this and kind of adding the shadow for the wings. Each of them, there's like, yeah, just a little bit more shadow here. Adding fast. I should have to be like more precise here, but I just want to give you a quick example, guys. So you put like a shadow for each of the wings. Probably this like could be like a little bit darker here, and just round up a little bit more with the shadow for the actual shape, the eyes. Now I'll do the same thing, but for the light. Still a new layer, it's very important. If you've been looking at the looking for the word here, I'm gonna put that darker as well. I think that should be darker. Like the base of the skin should be darker. They should be closer together, and then the highlights a little bit higher. If you've been looking at the 1 week portrait course, which will come soon, like I was saying earlier, I'm gonna release it again. You already know how to do those steps, so this should not be anything new. So here I got like a little bit of a highlight here that I can put. See a lot of chatting. I can't follow the chat. Just give me a second, guys. I'm just gonna kind of finish that and then answer the questions. All right, so putting the light here, I'm gonna put the light as well right here, and I'm putting all like in heart shapes. I definitely have like a little bit more lighting right here. And putting that too. And the lips could be darker. I'll just put like a multiply on top of that, which I'll change in a second. To be a little bit more pale, because I don't want it too dark. There you go. I'll put maybe a little bit more, something a little bit darker here for the eyes. And at this point, I'm just going to go super fast because I think this is taking too much time. Something like that. And at that point, I'm just going to add maybe like a little bit more shadow here. What I really want to do, what's really exciting to me, is to show you guys how much it's easy after that to just kind of see, I'm going to add some more shadow there. Some more shadow there. It's kind of how it is easy to, I'm going to go on top of everything, create a new layer. How it is easier from there to just kind of blend everything. So I'm going to use the smudge tool and then just basically smudge those values. You know what? I'm just going to put that smaller so I can give you guys an example, because that's too big for the live and the smudging. And obviously all of those steps would take me a lot less time if I had to check this chat and hear those beep 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 all the time. But here's the idea. So now you can just kind of blend just a few places and you have just a great start for your painting. And that's the idea of it. Here, like I'll be able to add just like a little bit of light right there. And obviously there's a lot more work on this painting. This is in no way a finished painting, but really I just wanted to show you guys, well, the idea of this live at the beginning was to show you guys how to get inspired from images and create something like from scratch, using just reference photos, but kind of went over the board with this one and just trying to show you a little bit more. Hopefully this was useful to you guys. I'm just going to try to finish it and then answer a few questions and let you guys go with the rest of your day or night. I know that for some of you, it's quite late. So hopefully that was useful. I'm trying to cover, I guess, a very large ground of skills here that I could take my time a lot more on each of those steps and just really nail down all of those. And I couldn't do that today. But that's the idea. And then I could add some details on the hair and everything. It looks very rough right now. I might push it a little bit more this week and finish this illustration and maybe show you guys like a more refined version. But in a nutshell, that's the idea of it. So let me know in the chat if that was helpful, if it is the kind of stuff that you were looking forward today. I might just move the chat here in front of me. Thank you all guys to come and join me today. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll answer a few questions if you guys have some. But for the rest, it's been almost an hour and 45 minutes that I was here. So, yeah. I see you guys talking about what now? Okay. So anyway, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much for showing up. This was really fun for me. A little bit more improvised than I wish I could. I could have come a little bit more prepared, I guess. All the rendering part and even sketching part actually was just not what I planned today. I really wanted to show you guys how to use photography to create some original pieces and then develop new ideas. I'll try to show you more stuff within the week to come. Like I was saying, the 1 week portrait challenge is going to come soon, and in this challenge I have a very more precise of the steps that I just showed you today, but in very constructed 10 minutes video with a lot more of goodies in the videos than this one, I suppose. But I just wanted to just, not let you with a plain explanation of how to do stuff and give you a little bit more of an example. So hopefully it was helpful. So thank you, Pamela, Greg, everybody that showed up, Martine, Angela. I'm trying to just read all the names that pop up here. And thank you so much for joining. This was fun. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you missed something, you can see the replay. And for the rest, guys, happy painting. I'll talk to you in the community. And so, thank you so much for joining in. Have the rest of your day. Be safe, obviously. And I'll talk to you soon, guys. So thank you. Ciao.